This episode is in support of We the People mission. It was recorded in Spruce Pine, North Carolina, with the founder of We the People mission, a nonprofit dedicated to helping flood victims and those in need across North Carolina. Check out their work and show your support at wethepeoplemission.us. And if you're in Middle Tennessee, visit relentlesspursuitlifestyle.com/keylimepie to see how you can be a part of the second annual RP Key Lime Pie Festival, a charity event supporting their mission. Thank you for listening. Let's make an impact together. The Relentless Pursuit podcast is proudly sponsored by Speakeasy Aesthetics, the full-service med spa located here in Murfreesboro, Tennessee. Botox, filler, PRP treatments, laser tattoo removal, laser skin resurfacing, and more. Most importantly, the team at Speakeasy Aesthetics is top-notch, and you can trust them with any of your aesthetic needs. This is your sign to book an appointment. You can find them on their website at speakeasyaesthetics.com, on Instagram at Speakeasy Aesthetics, Facebook Speakeasy Aesthetics, and they're located at 804 North Thompson Lane, Suite 2B in Murfreesboro, Tennessee. Or contact them by phone at 615-473-1931. And hey, tell them you heard it here. I'm going all out. I'm bringing all my stuff. And it's actually kind of fun, man, because I do eventually want to take it on the road more. Anyways, we'll get to that.
Okay.
All right. What is up, everybody? This is Joe Adams, and welcome to the Relentless Pursuit podcast. What we do on this podcast is bringing guests from all different backgrounds, all different walks of life, to share their journey and everything along the way that led them to where they're at today. But today we have something special. As you can see, this is not the Relentless Pursuit studio. We're actually in Western North Carolina, in Spruce Pine, North Carolina, with We the People mission, W34P, and the founder, my man, Dan Nunez, otherwise known as Reaper. It's an honor to be here in your spot.
Oh man, I tell you what, this is your home too, so it's all good.
I appreciate that, man. This is a totally different change of pace for me. Obviously, you too, like you said, you've done some recording. I went all out and brought all the equipment. But yeah, so I drove out to Western North Carolina, and I've been volunteering with these guys a couple times. You know, I made several trips out, and then I linked up with y'all one time, and then came out a couple more, and I just love what y'all are doing. Yep. And all the individuals here have been amazing, and I want to support you guys and have y'all share your story.
Yeah, I appreciate that, man. You came. I remember you telling me you came out a few times, and then you came out that first time with us, and we went on that crazy mission.
Yeah, that was a good time.
Yeah, definitely about faith of God right there. I'll tell you that much.
Yeah.
And then we got here, and like everybody else, you show up, and you just never want to leave.
No,
you know. And I tell you what, you would have stayed a lot longer if you didn't have that baby and your wife at home. I guarantee you that.
Oh, 100%. 100%, man. You know, that makes it tough. I mean, I went through a season before I met my wife. I always tell people, like, man, I probably done moved out here, you know, because I'm a purpose-fueled person, right?
Right.
And I could see this is a purpose-fueled mission. So, you know, you're helping people.
Oh, yeah. I tell you what, when we first started, I know we're going to get into it a lot more, but when we first started, and all the people that came through from all walks of life, all over the country, you know, everywhere else, we really wasn't sure what to expect with this mission and where it was going to go.
Yeah.
And how it was going to work out. But, man, I tell you, the journey we've had, the incredible things that have happened that are only, you if you're not a believer,
yeah,
and you're here for that day or any day and something doesn't affect you, I honestly don't know what to think, because I literally spent my first month here crying at least once a day at a minimum, because of something that happened. Somebody's story would come through, and not 2 minutes later, the help they needed just showed up. You know, no asking, no talking about it, no nothing. It was just, here's the story. There's the answer.
There's the answer.
And it was that quick. And I was just like, oh man, this is definitely the mission. It's We the People mission, as you said. And Oh man, I really am glad you're here because
Dude.
ever since you and I met and everything else, we've been talking about doing this, and it's like come full circle. Now we're ready to go, and then
Yeah.
and then we're gonna come off of your key lime pie and your festival up there and do all that. And brother, I tell you what, like I told you, we're family. We're gonna be family, and just there's so much I could say, but I guess we should kind of go on. We're going.
No, dude, say whatever you want, man. You know, hey, I'm here for you. You know what I'm saying? It's, you know, I've been a part of it. I put my drops in the bucket, right? But you've been here, you know, since day one. Yeah. You know, this is your home.
Yeah.
And so this is about you, man. And obviously your family and the people that have been a part of this mission, like you have, man. It's just, I'll tell you what, when I first heard about everything, I didn't really understand the severity. I don't really pay attention to news.
Yeah.
And then my buddy was like, "Yo, Joe, check this out," you know? And I was like, "Dang, man, we talked about it. We're like, he's like, we need to bring some stuff out." And I'm like, "You're right." And so we loaded up my truck, got a bunch of people on board, and took our first trip. And you know, after several trips, I wanted to do more than bring supplies places and run around in circles, which I mean, that was a need, especially at first, but I wanted to be hands-on. And so accidentally got led to you guys one day after I'd been down a Bat Cave and all those areas, Wananoa. And someone was like, "Yeah, go to We the People, you know, way up here." And I was like, "All right." And so I hit the road and met, who was it?
Man, I don't remember.
Dutchman.
That's right, Dutchman.
And he was telling us about everything, and I saw the operation. I was like, hell yeah, I'm coming back. And so right after that, I was back, and man, I clicked with everybody here, and I just saw how things were going. Like you said, we went on the mission, and I love it, man. And, you know, but you've been moved to do this, and I want to know why. But first, just tell us a little bit about your background. You know, I want the audience to get to know you a little bit. You know, tell us about where you're from. Tell us about your family a little bit of your, you know, military background, because I know you did that for what, 20 years?
Yep. 23.
Yeah. So got a long time vet here. And it's like you're on another mission now.
Yeah. Honestly,
honestly,
that's what it's like.
Yeah, exactly. And so, and you got your family and you moved to Spruce Pine some time ago, but yeah, tell us a little bit about all that.
So I'm originally from Southern California, about 45 minutes from San Diego. So it's, you know, down there growing up, at the beach all the time, doing all that stuff. But my area was more of desert area. So when I was about 20 years old, I joined the Army with a couple of my buddies. Started out basic training, went to Fort Drum, New York, had my first experience with different parts of the world, because we went to Panama, and went to Haiti, went to different parts of the country doing training and all that stuff. And kind of like the traveling part of it all. Of course, you know, living in upstate New York where it's really cold and snowing, you know, wasn't always the best thing. But, you know, my first time in out of my state, really, and up north and in the snow. So did that for a little bit. And then I re-enlisted, went airborne school, went to Europe, got stationed in Italy, did that for a while, and traveled around all over there, and went to Africa and all over the Middle East and Europe and everything. Got a few deployments in a few different countries, like, you know, everybody else, and did some tours. Did the whole 23-year thing. And
so you were in 23 years.
Yeah.
Okay.
23 years. You know, I was married, had 2 kids, got divorced, got remarried. Had 3 kids with me, and then, you know, I got my 3, and my older one right now, the middle-aged one, oldest one in this marriage, he's in the military right now, and my other 2 are looking to go in as well. And, you know, we traveled around, did all that good stuff, and they liked it and all, but I did more of my traveling when I was actually doing my mission.
Yeah.
And after 23 years of doing those kind of missions, you learn ways to find the enemy and everything, and, you know, go along with all that. Well, I retired in Columbia, South Carolina, and then we moved to Myrtle Beach. And, you know, if people don't know about Myrtle Beach, the crime rate was increasing really bad. For a while there.
Yeah.
So
that's where I used to go to. That's where we used to go to beach when I lived in North Carolina when I was in high school. But I hear it's changed a lot since then.
Oh yeah. You know, I mean, we lived there. We didn't even go to regular Myrtle Beach. We went to North Myrtle Beach, to the beach up there, just solely because, it was less crowded. There wasn't as much crime up that way. And, you know, everything had been moving up. So COVID hit. A couple months into that, we started talking about it. My wife worked remotely. Kids were being homeschooled, and, I'm retired, so why not move away? So we moved up here, ended up in Spruce Pine. We've been here for just under 5 years now, and,
Nice.
Living here, and everything's going pretty good. Kids playing sports, and then all of a sudden...
Why Spruce Pine?
Well, honestly, we looked Pennsylvania, we looked Tennessee, we even looked northern Texas area. Yeah. My wife wanted a log cabin kind of scenario, and I wanted land. Being retired and all that stuff, I wanted some space. Mm-hmm. And the space I needed was being on land. So, and being able to walk around, do what I need to do. And, I like to shoot, so have my own little range in the back.
Yeah.
And kind of enjoy my life, teach my kids how to live out.
So the perfect place for that.
Exactly. Yeah. So, we looked at about 3 or 4 different places, and I kept coming back to this one dang log cabin. And she's like, yeah, we'll look at it later. And finally I was like, we've looked at all of them except for this one. I need you to look at this one.
Yeah.
So I got on there, and she goes, okay, well, maybe they can do like a FaceTime Live or something, or whatever it's called. And so we put a request out, and the realtor wrote us, and they're like, oh, sure, I'll go walk through it and all that stuff and show you all about it. So she did, and she was really nice. So we were like, hey, can we just drive up tomorrow? And she goes, yeah, sure. What time? I was like, well, it's about a 3-hour drive. We'll drive up, I'll leave here about 8, 9 o'clock in the morning. We drove up, walked through it, and talked to her about it. And I liked the way the setup was, and the property and everything else, and small community and everything. So yeah. we went ahead and put a bid in, and we got it, and then we've been here ever since. And then, that's how we ended up in Spruce Pine.
Nice.
Yeah.
Well, I'd never been to Spruce Pine. I mean, I've been all over these parts quite a bit growing up, like I've always, the mountains here have just been part of my life, ever since I was a little kid. I grew up in the South. So, but like I said, I ended up in this area, and it's crazy to see how widespread the devastation is, because, couple, hour, 2 hours away. Well, I don't know how far like Asheville is.
It's a little over an hour, about an hour and 5.
Yeah.
10.
You see how broad it is. But it's just like, some places seem completely fine, but then some places are wiped out. It's wild to see that.
Yeah.
It's obviously based off of like the geography.
Yeah. And that's the hardest thing is, everybody says, oh, it's just a hurricane. Florida has them all the time. South has them all the time. 22 inches of water is not a lot. Well, 22 inches of water at 3,700 feet coming down, catching up to about 100 miles an hour. And now it's all building up into one big pile of water down at the bottom of that valley, and it's moving with all that debris. Well, now you have a wall of water about 100 feet tall, moving, 100 miles an hour plus, whatever, and the debris following it, and it just takes out houses like nothing.
It's crazy when you see, like, you think 100 miles per hour water, like that sounds made up. But then when you see some of these houses and these trees just like leveled, you're like, oh yeah, that's definitely 100 miles per hour of water just rushing down. It's insane.
Yeah, exactly. And then, we did some flights. I've had some other people up here that want to go take not tours, but that wanted to see the devastation so they can get money, and people brought in to kind of help out. So we would go up and take them around and show them, trees usually fall downhill. Yeah. So when you see trees laying uphill, it's kind of like, well, what the heck? And then nobody wants to talk about the 100 plus or 120, 150 mile an hour wind gusts and all that stuff that was coming through here, and the tornadoes that were going all around.
I got it on video on my way here.
Exactly. And so you got those trees laying uphill, and then you got the mudslides bringing everything and just trashing everything all around the other areas. And then you got, 50 feet over, trees are laying a different direction. I've got like I don't know, I guess the diameter is about 32 inches in diameter tree in my yard that uprooted completely.
That's insane.
It's over 100 years old, and it just uprooted like nothing.
Damn.
And so that's the kind of stuff you see. And then you go to these other people's houses, and some of them are not even touched. The lady down the street from my house literally had a tree fall around her house like Legos. Like it hit the right side, the left side, the front, and the back, but then actually hit her house. It just hit right next to her house. Like,
that's so crazy.
Yeah, like locked her in. So, me and my neighbor, we got on the chainsaws and went in and cut everybody out and cleaned everything up as best we could so they can get in their vehicles and go where they needed to. And then once we started doing that and we got able to get out, my son and I.
Well, is this leading to this?
Yeah.
I want to ask you first, though,
okay,
because I feel it's important. Tell us about the day it happened, though. Like, I want to know, like, when y'all got the news, it was all going down. just to kind of set the scene of that leads to that, right? Just because that's important. I mean, hell, you were just going about your normal life.
Yeah.
And then things happened.
Yeah. So, you know, I mean, everybody talks about a hurricane. Oh, it's going to hit the mainland and it's going to slow down. You know, it's hitting at a category 3 or whatever. It's going to drop to like category 1 before it even hits North Carolina. Well, that didn't happen with this one. This thing actually picked up speed, I guess, is like rotational wise, but not actually movement.
Yeah.
So rotational, it just kept the same. So it stayed at category 3 by the time it hit close area, and I think it ended up dropping, and they called it a tropical storm at some point. But even as a tropical storm, it basically just stalled right over the area and had all those wind gusts and the tornadoes and everything else, and blowing everything down and raining all over like crazy and stuff. So, you know, the news is reporting it, well, it should go east and come off the coast, or it may steer left, or it may just die. And so there was no real preparation for it other than we're getting a lot of rain.
Yeah.
You know, and a lot of rain normally would have been fine. However, about a week before, it rained for like 2-3 days straight with the storm that came from the north and came across. So now you have that rainfall already saturating the ground and everything else. And then you have this hurricane coming in from the south with all these winds and everything. So it's just really, really just added fuel to the fire is really what it was.
Yeah.
You know, so, and then this emergency response thing that supposedly went out, well, the towers were out. So all the communications was gone and everything else. So even if they did send out an emergency response,
Wouldn't get to people.
Nobody out here got it.
Wow.
You know, and at first we were looking about, you know, hey, we might go somewhere, but like I told my wife, well, we can't go south, we can't go east, can't go west. Where are we going to go? Might as well just stay here, you know, and ride it out and see what happens, because the way the news was saying the storm and how wide it was, I mean, because this thing was wide. I think it covered the whole state, and North Carolina is a wide state. So if it's covering the whole state, you know, and then some of Georgia and South Carolina, and it's still in North Carolina, you know, kind of a thing, and it was, you know how big
it's crazy.
Yeah. And then, you know, Mount Mitchell being the highest point east of the Mississippi, that thing went around to the right side. So, you know, having that high land, it kind of caught it. I don't know. It was almost like it just hooked itself in and got stuck.
And just went crazy on the area.
Exactly. It was just like the storm would go around in a circle. So as it's going and how fast it's rotating, you know, the main rain might come and hit you at 8 a.m. Well, then a few hours later, that same rain's coming back around and doing it again and flooding everything, right?
Yeah.
So it just saturated everything, destroyed everything. And the only good thing is the main part of the storm, it was already coming daylight. So a lot of it was as the day was coming when it all happened. So, I mean, a lot of the devastation, if it would have happened at night, a lot more people's lives would have probably been lost because they wouldn't have seen the water or the trees or anything like that.
Man, that's actually like terrifying to imagine.
Right.
Because I've seen videos of, you know, a lot of people have seen videos of like people's real world accounts during the day, and it's insane.
Yeah.
So at night when you don't see it coming, I mean, oh my gosh, it's like gives you chills thinking about it.
Yeah. So there's a family that came through. They were talking about how they actually, I don't know if they rented a B&B or if they were just living next to a B&B or whatever, but there was 2 different families. But one of them, during the nighttime, they lost power and they had a generator that kicked on. And when the generator kicked on, there was like a street light outside that faced kind of upwards to shine up the driveway and all that. And when it was shining up the driveway, the dad was looking out there and he saw something weird. It wasn't like trees waving in the wind kind of a thing. He said it looked like they were getting bigger. So it took him about a minute to figure it out. And what it was a rushing of water pulling the trees down towards his house. And he started yelling, get out of the house. And as they ran out of the house, you know, they're all ready for bed and everything else. So they're barefoot in their pajamas and all stuff. They went running out of the house. Just as they got out of the house, there it went, washed down, gone, you know. And if he wasn't out on the porch, I don't know if he was a smoker or what, or why he was out there just enjoying the air or whatever, watching the rain. I don't know. But anyways, if he didn't see that, you know, could you imagine that family would have been gone?
Oh my gosh, that is nuts. Just the blessing that was.
Right.
Back into it.
All right.
But yeah, what a blessing that was for that family. I mean, that's insane.
Yeah. And then, you know, I talked to a pastor down the road, Pastor Ryan, and he was saying the next morning, him and his wife went out to see what was all going on. and how bad it all happened. And they're walking up the road, and the half the road had washed away, and they come across a couple, and she was expecting, and she was barefoot in her pajamas, and he's walking around barefoot in his pajamas, and they're walking down the road, and they're just like, and the lady's crying just as they're gone. And he's like, well, who's gone? He goes, our neighbors. Their house just washed away. And we don't know if they were home and all this other stuff. And she's like, no, they were, so back and forth. Either way, they didn't know. And so he was just saying how hard it was, because, he's a pastor in that community and stuff. And then hearing about these stories of these people and stuff going through and everything that's been happening. And so, he's got that story of them walking. I think the nearest house from where he was, where they were coming from, was about 3-4 miles away.
3 or 4 miles away?
Yeah, from him. So because he lived like at the lower part of the hill where the road was, and then the way the road was and everything else, and the hills and all that, and then there was the next house where they were at, and then there was the one right next to them that they said got washed away and all that. So just hearing about stories like that, it really gets to you, and you think about, well, I can't leave. I can't go do something else. I got to be here and help. 23 years of going and finding enemy, you can use that training to do something else.
Yeah.
So we used it to get teams out here and kind of roadmap how to go help. Rather be a matter of get supplies out, cut people out, whatever.
Was it like immediate? Y'all were like, hey, let's do this?
It was kind of weird on how it happened, because at first we were just like, hey, let's go. I had stuff. I'm used to being prepared, I guess, and we have a generator on our house.
Mm-hmm.
That, although I really didn't think about going and getting propane to fill up my tank, and it was only half full. So by the time everything happened and all that, my propane for my house was only good for about 2 days.
Okay.
And then I was out. And then I was running on 20 pounders with a small generator I had for the RV we had. So it was just enough to keep the refrigerators running, really. So then, it was okay. Well, we're good. Our neighbors are good. Everybody needs supplies. They were coming in and saying, hey, can you guys go get stuff? Because you really couldn't get their vehicles out. We just got enough so they can get out of their house. Well, we have a little side-by-side. So my daughter and my wife got in that thing, and they tried to go find somewhere that was open or whatever. And there was no stores really open. One of the liquor stores kind of things was open, cruise through. She went through there and got some stuff, but of course, no power, so it's cash only. Buying whatever they could, and so they bought some drinks and some snacks and stuff to bring back to the house and just kind of pass out to people and all that stuff. And then the grocery store that was right there, Ingles, washed away. Well, I'm sorry, it didn't wash away, but it flooded. So everything inside got washed away because the roof or something, there was a containment wall behind it or something. Anyways, that got messed up, so it flooded and just washed everything away. And down in that part of the neighborhood, was all flooded out and everything from the what they called a wind-induced rain.
Okay.
Because realistically, you're in the mountains. It's not flooding. It is, but it isn't. It's all about the wording, I guess.
Yeah.
Insurance purposes.
Of course.
Yeah. So you got to make sure you don't tell them, hey, we got flooded out. Because if you tell them, hey, we got flooded out, well, you don't have flood insurance. Well, I got wind-induced rainfall.
A lot of people ran into that, though.
Yeah. And it was, and then, and I get it. A lot of people hate FEMA. A lot of people hate their insurance companies right now, but it is what it is. You just got to understand the wording process.
Yeah. And
the best way you can help your neighbor when it comes to stuff is look up words that are flooding, but doesn't say flooding. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So wind-induced rainfall or something like that or whatever.
Much water.
Yeah. A lot of water. Yeah. A lot of water accumulated
Tons.
from the mountains. Exactly.
Yeah.
But you don't use that word. As long as you don't use that word, it should be good.
Use the F word.
That's right. And we're not saying FEMA. No, but seriously, and then the $750 that FEMA promised everybody, not everybody got. And I don't understand why people got denied that. I didn't fill out their paperwork. I don't know. I don't even know if we applied for it, honestly. I do know that people came through here needing everything that you could think of. So up front, it was crazy. Airplanes coming in, helicopters coming in, and, canned goods, clothing, because it was kind of warm still then, so it wasn't really like cold weather clothing. It kind of built up to that, so everything else like that. And when my son and I took off, we took off to go get stuff and take it out to the haulers and kind of help those people that were in those areas that we knew flooded the most. And because I turned on the AM radio, it was the only station we can get was AM. And they talked more about Asheville and Swannanoa and stuff down there. There wasn't really much talk about up here in the deep mountains. But if you think about it, if it happened there and it's in a mountainous area, it's probably happened up here. Yep. So, we went around, we found stuff when we could actually get out and go find places. And then as we were doing that, we'd go to drop stuff off and pick stuff up at different areas. So knowing the airfield was here and being in the military, where's the first place you take over when you go to a third world country? You take over the airfields.
Yep.
So where's the best place to bring supplies? The airfields. So we came out here and JARS came in and they came in quick. I mean, you got to give it up to those guys. I know they don't want credit. They don't work a lot in the U.S. They work helping other foreign countries and stuff. But, they came in quick. They brought in a lot of stuff.
Who is this again?
JARS.
JARS.
Yeah, it's JARRS. I think I always mess it up. Or is it JARRS? Not sure. But a good bunch of people. They really are. And they came in and they were here for like the first 2 days, 3 days, I think it was. I'm not sure. And they brought a lot of stuff in. A lot of stuff got sent out. Well, then NCDOT started sending more people out this area and bringing stuff in. And so everything was being curved from other airfields to up here because they realized this one was still actionable to use. So when they did that, they sent my buddy Rob out here. He has a career in air traffic control and all that stuff. So he came out here and he started running aircraft. And while I was pushing stuff out, I ran into him. And actually my wife ran into him and talked to him a little bit. She's like, "Oh yeah," she goes, you and my husband need to talk and figure it all out and stuff. And so she told me, she goes, "Hey, it's late right now. He's done for the night, but go out there in the morning and talk to him." Well, I came out and I was like, "Oh, hey," so him and I kind of clicked and we talked about it and both being military background, all that. And I was like, "Yeah, I can run ground troops and all that stuff and push from the ground for you while you're bringing an aircraft." So him and I just kind of clicked right there and we started taking off, making this thing happen, and while all these aircraft coming in, these other agencies are coming in and bringing stuff. And some of them had ground forces come in and kind of stick here on the ground and kind of work out their own mission plan. So, between at first it was like all this stuff just came in and then all the stuff just went out. And you didn't really know where it was going. It was going.
In and out. Yeah.
Yeah. You come in and of course helicopters only take so much weight. So, everybody's like, "Hey, it's got to be this weight." Other airplanes that were going to other little airstrips in the areas or whatever. We had this Alaskan bush guy. He's like, "I'll land it in the street." And he goes, "I don't care. You just tell me where I'm going." I mean, the guy was cool.
Heck yeah.
Yeah. You'd have liked him. He's just like, "Yeah, if I need to go put it on some mountainside, as long as I got, this much of an open area," he goes, "I'll land it."
Yeah. Nice.
Yeah, exactly. I told him, I was like, "Well, there's a map in there. You got a plane?" He goes, "Man, as long as he's one of these guys let me fly it, I'll go." So
that's sick.
So he did a lot of good stuff. He actually worked out here for maybe a day or two, and then he ended up higher at another place, another mountain airfield up there, and he did some more work up there. And then we had all these helicopters coming in, and this one organization, they had their website up. So they were getting orders through the organization on there, and then it was getting sent over the dam by radio. And then the other pilots who would bring stuff in would send more to lists, and then they start breaking them down. But like anything, there's people who take advantage of.
Of course.
So there was a lot of missions going to the same area. And we started tracking it on maps and everything else and where we were all going once we got set up, everything in here. And I went and talked to them. I was like, "Hey, you're doing like 100, 150 missions to the same area and there's only like 60 houses."
There's other places.
Yeah. I go, and it is a community. However, it's a retirement or it's a second home community. So not a lot of people there right now. I'm like, "I know you guys aren't from here, but some of us are. So we need to go to other places." So, our first thing was get to the churches.
Yeah.
The churches know the people.
Of course.
So we reached out to as many churches as we could to kind of get support to them so they could push it out from there. And a couple of churches were like, "Well, we got family in these haulers and all this stuff. And we haven't been able, well, there's no connectivity. You're not going to get all of them. However, we can get a helicopter out there." what's the pastor's name on the ground in the closest church? We get a helicopter out there, get some people who are from that area to go out there and go meet with the pastor. Gather the people in your area and see what happens. Or, maybe the pastor he was a good preacher, but he wasn't the guy to take control. Yeah. And there's another person who actually takes control, and they're the ones that everybody looks up to. So we meet with them and get stuff out there with them. Well, then we started getting side-by-sides and all that stuff brought in, and, guys with trucks who literally cut their way up in here. They drove up with trucks pulling side-by-sides, and as they're going through, they just get a truck and cut the road clear. It's just enough to get their vehicle through.
That's sick.
Exactly. I mean, it was, you watch movies like that on TV where people just pull out a chainsaw and start cutting.
Yeah.
It's clear, they roll. Well, that's what happened, and somehow they ended up here.
Just high speed as hell, it sounds like.
Yeah.
The way you're telling it, I'm just like, I mean, because that's right after, it's only been a handful of months since then. Yeah. And then you're thinking like, all this is happening. It's just like, boom, 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 boom. It's a lot to keep up with.
Yeah. So, it was all that's going on. We got these guys in that, actually they flew airplanes, and they were ham radio operators.
Cool.
And let me tell you, when it came to communications, they brought the communications in. When it came to comms, they saved it. Starlink kicked in a little bit later, but the initial thing was the ham radios, guys. They came in, they flew this stuff in, got some equipment set up, brought in radios so we could communicate internally. And then we had handhelds going out, and this guy set up a relay up on top of Mount Mitchell, and they had to get a power source up there to it, because of course there's no power anywhere. So once they got that going, man, it was going everywhere. But one of our guys, he flew in first with the plane, got us some setup stuff locally to get some comms out, and then of course they started reaching out to other local ham radio operators, and they're just bouncing information all over the place and pushing it in and out of the area to figure out what we needed and how to get it here and all that.
Yeah.
And that's how we started getting our own stuff brought in. When NCDOT's kind of support kind of backed off as far as the aircraft stuff, it was pretty much, they just put out an all call, hey, anybody who was supporting, go here, kind of a thing. And then they had their own emergency response stuff they had to deal with. So they weren't here all the time. Well, then the other organizations that flew their own helicopters, JARS went back to doing what they were normally doing. Their way of doing stuff for this support was get in there quick, do what they can. Once other people were there to hand it off to, they handed it off. Yeah, and they went back to their normal jobs. And it's not a bad thing. Yeah, it was actually, that's what they do.
Yeah, they just set things up pretty much, and all right, you're good.
Yeah. So everything was going. We got here, and then these other agencies came in. They started bringing some other stuff in, and they had their own way of doing things. And so the hardest part about that first beginning was coordinations. And some people aren't easy to work with. Some people are like, well, we're in charge. We're here. This is our stuff. This is what we're doing. And,
like you're here, you're established, and you got someone coming in like, hey, this is what we're going to do. And you're like, wait, like we've already got a system going on.
Yeah, exactly. And then finally, this other guy comes in, and he gets all these other people together, and I have to walk over there. And I'm like, hey, I get it. You're here and you're helping this group, but I've been helping this group. So we got to work together. So we worked together. And then we basically just combined. And then all the other groups started to pull out and go other places, go again further northeast. But being from here, we stayed here. And then at the end, everybody left except for us. And we just started doing our thing, and the ham radio operators, and we had Starlinks up and sending it out that way, sending it out through Facebook of all things, and just emailing friends, calling from. Well, we couldn't call. There was still no calling really at this time. But with the Starlinks up, we could email, go through Facebook, stuff like that, and then the ham radio operators, and get that out, and they would pass that around the country. And when I tell you, every state has been here, including Canada, Alaska, Hawaii, the Jordanian King's planes come through here like 2-3 times.
Really?
He brought us supply stuff. It was pretty cool.
That's wild.
Yeah. His pilot comes in and lands, and me and the other guy are looking at him. We're like, that's not an American plane, And so he lands and comes through, and all the volunteers kind of come inside because it's not an American plane. Nobody knows what's going on. Dude's got a FLIR, underneath that thing, and that's not something on a normal airplane.
Yeah.
And so they're like, yeah, let's just kind of wait and see what this guy is. So he gets out, and the pilot gets out, and he's like, yeah, that's the Jordanian king. We were here in the area. I'm like, I don't know what here in the area means, but okay. So they were somewhere close to the U.S. or they were in the U.S. I really don't know, but
we're in the area, just in our plane. Yeah,
exactly. So the way he made it sound is if he's in country or somewhere close by and there's something going on, he makes an effort to help out. So, give it up to Jordan and their king. Cause he was like all about helping us out, and they didn't just come one time. They came multiple times.
What's crazy? This is a total side story, but I was deployed and I was with a TCN out there, and I was in this vehicle with him, and he was from Jordan. And he was like, oh, the king of Jordan's so great. He's like, if you're like an actual citizen of Jordan, like he like paid all their debts, like something like that. Yeah. He was like, oh yeah, he just took like actual people from Jordan. I was like, that's pretty sweet. I'm like, yo, can one of y'all pay all of our debts? Like get rid of these credit cards or whatever. Yeah. Come on now. No, but that says a lot about the dude. I mean, I don't really know much about him outside of that and your interaction, but it sounds real positive. So that's cool.
Yeah. And the pilot gets out and he's telling us, where he's from and all this stuff. And he comes in, does his few flights. Well, then he leaves, and he's like, hey, we may or may not come back. It depends on where the king's at. So they leave and they come back. Well, crazy thing is about a week or two later, this guy comes back, and he's coming through and he's signing up to be a volunteer and all this stuff, because we try to track our volunteers so we can call them back and say thank you or whatever. And, if they and see if they want to come back if we needed help. And he's up there, and I'm hearing him talk, and I'm like, hey, where are you from? He goes, from Jordan. I was like, you look familiar. He goes, yeah, I was flying the plane. He came back to volunteer with us for like a week, man.
Oh, really? Yeah, that's sick.
Yeah, he came back. So he came back and helped out. So that was pretty cool. So
that's insane, because that's like all the way across the world, Like, they just end up here of all places. It's just wild that happened.
Yeah. So the coolest thing is these people show up here, and they show up here to help.
Yeah.
And there's a lot that needs to be done. There's still a lot that needs to be done, even 4 months in. And the sad thing is the government goes to the major towns and cities of all places because, they're the ones that are being covered by the news and all that. Like I said, early on, nobody talked about Yancey County, Mitchell County, Avery County. Mm-hmm. I think Madison County actually got in there because there was such a serious mudslide that people were actually trapped in a little area, and it got out. But, so Burnsville, basically, they have Poplar, they had Pensacola, and Micaville and all this stuff. So a lot of the pictures you see, the famous picture of the big barrel that's in the middle of the road that it says "Stay Strong" or something. I can't remember what it says. I see it all the time, but, I've seen a lot of things. Yeah. But anyways, believe it or not, that's up here in Burnsville.
Yeah.
Down the road, like 15, 20 minutes away.
I think I went through there on the way here today.
Yeah. So, and if you look and you actually took a second of what it looked like at first, that water was like maybe 400 or 500 feet wide. Well, that stream's maybe only 50 feet wide.
Yeah.
So and it's about 7,500 feet down. So, and then to cover this road and take out the buildings and wash away everything. And the crazy thing is everything that was washed out over there's 2 churches. Everything got washed out around those 2 churches except the 2 churches.
I think is Burnsville, is that like that direction?
Yeah, west.
Yeah, well, yeah. I think I came through there because that valley's like that same direction, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay, cool. Like 176 or something. I don't know, I forget. Anyways, yeah, I know what you're talking about. And because I'm driving by and it's on the right-hand side, and you could see how wide it is for a minute. It's pretty nuts.
Yeah. So, I mean, you look at all this stuff, and then I know Pensacola was one of the major ones that people kept saying you can't get to. And we got side-by-sides, we got meal teams and all that stuff that went out to a lot of these places. We had these meal team guys, they came from Texas. They came all the way up here from Texas, and they're just like, hey, we got meals. I'm like, mules, like real meals, or you mean like the off-road meals? And he's like, no, real meals. And the dude looks like a cowboy, so I was just being dumb, I guess, not paying attention. But anyways, there's so much stuff going on, and he's like, hey, we got mules. Where can we go? So my wife gets out the map, and she's like, hey, there's this place right here. It's like Silo, Pensacola, Poplar. She goes, those are places that are really bad. Of course, they're in Yancey County, but we had people on the ground walking in Avery County. Like I got a guy fly out in a helicopter. They dropped him off, and he walked for 2 days trying to find people, trying to get stuff. You know, that he was a trekker, so that was his thing. That's what he wanted to do.
That's
by
cool.
Himself. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. He just loaded up on water, food, and whatever he needed for the night. He
Sick.
just went and dropped them off. And then he got back and, you know, spent 24 hours here, took a shower, because we had a little shower trailer building in the back, whatever. So they got cleaned up. He drank some water and stuff and ate a hot meal that we had prepared and all this stuff, because we had some guy here at a big old barbecue. He would come out and cook. And then during the day, he'd go out with heavy equipment and work roads. And then he'd put like something on his grill in the morning when he left. And by the time he came home, it was ready, and he'd serve for everybody else, you know?
Yeah.
And he'd take care of it. And so the guy's like, the next day, he goes, okay, where am I going next? So they took him out in some side-by-sides and dropped him off about an hour northeast of here. And then he walked for a couple days back, and he called us up, and he's like, hey, I'm at this grid, come pick me up. So we went and picked him up.
That's so cool, man.
Yeah.
And that's one thing I love, man. It's just, I think that's the coolest part about it is, you know, we're not going to get into all this, but people are like, the government's not doing nothing, you know, of course you hear, but at the end of the day, like what I've loved to see is people like from all over that give a crap. And it's not everybody. It's like I told you, I had the guilt thing when I got home, because I'm like, how are y'all living normal lives? But you know, like I was mad at myself. I like felt guilty for it. And I think it's just that emotional pull when you see the devastation, when you talk to the people, when you're interacting, like it affects you, and you go back to normal. Like you've been here.
Yeah.
When I go back to normal, it's just like, and you talked about how it's very similar to like, you know, deployment situations in the military and stuff like that. Like you go home, it sits with you differently. And of course, you know how to like work through that. You know, I think it's heavy stuff, man. Cause I remember the first time I drove out here, it's just like it feels different. Like the weight's heavy, you know what I'm saying? And, but one thing I've always recognized is just the beauty of like meeting all the different people that are just from all over the place that have like taken the time, hell, quit jobs.
Yeah.
And,
got a few of those.
Yeah. And dedicated time to it, regardless of how long it is. I mean, I think it's a beautiful thing.
Right.
That's what our country's about.
You know, and that's why, when we were sitting here, we had people wanting to donate funds and stuff like that. And they want to know if we were in a 501c3 at the time. And, you know, early on, we were just here helping people.
Yeah.
You know, a bunch of people coming in and, you know, we have our own business and we have the LLC stuff and all that, but we never thought about going nonprofit with anything because we really didn't know we need to.
Yeah.
And then so when some bigger organizations came in to support, they're like, hey, you know, I get it. You don't want to get into all that, but if you want to keep doing this for the long haul, you need to go ahead and get it done. So my wife, she filed the paperwork, got it all done. And, under a week, we were not only nonprofit, but we had the tax exempt paperwork and everything else. And
I don't know how y'all did that quick. I'll talk to your wife.
you know what's the funniest thing is we've had a lot of people come and say they're like, yeah, we filed a long time ago and it still ain't showing up. And
it's usually like a 90-day process or something.
Yeah, something like that. And ours was done in like 5 days. I really don't know. I know we are part of the North Carolina VOAD, but we weren't part of the VOAD at the time. We actually had to wait for all that to get back to be part of the VOAD. So, you know, so we got it all done, became part of the VOAD, had all our tax exemption paperwork and everything done, and started knocking it out. And I was doing an interview, my very first one, I don't know, maybe 2 weeks in, and we were talking about all this stuff, and they're, you know, like, do you guys have a name or anything? And at first we were just, you know, we're at Avery County Airfield and doing all this stuff. And then finally, I don't know, somewhere along the conversation just came out. It's like, yeah, we're the people mission. And there it was.
Yeah.
You know, and that's how it all began.
Yeah.
And from there on out, it's just been growing and growing and growing. And you know, like anything, you're going to have some bumps along the road. But I had this gentleman here. He's a former Marine. He actually flew Marine One, coolest one.
Super cool.
Yeah. He don't brag about it, and you wouldn't think so. He's like a short, stocky guy.
Yeah.
Cool guy. I won't put his name out there, but yeah, he knows. Great relationship him and I had while he was here, and you know, he's an officer in the Marines, and you know, everybody, commissioned people have different mentalities than enlistment people. But I tell you what, he showed up. He goes, he goes, I was asked to come in here and kind of manage it. He goes, but you guys got it.
Yeah.
He's like, you know what you're doing. You guys know what's been going on. You don't need me to manage what's going on. You got it.
Yeah.
His big thing was he got out there. He got his hands dirty. He helped. He knew everything about the airfield because he manages an airfield. So he was like, hey, I'm going to offer you my advice and we'll work it out from there. And you tell me what you're thinking. And we ran the whole airfield, got it all knocked out and did what we had to do to make sure that it was safe, you know.
That's super cool.
Yeah. So, he came through, and we got this thing called the Air Boss. In case you don't know, it's the guy who basically runs the airstrip, makes sure everything's safe, runs the fuel point and all that stuff. And DOT sent out a couple guys, rotated them through for a while. We had some local guys who had done it before. They came in, rotated out for a while, but then it was like, okay, well, this has been ongoing. DOT didn't really have anybody to send. Nobody wanted to volunteer. So, I called my buddy up that was in here for a little bit doing his thing, and he's running his airfield. I'm like, hey, I kind of need an air guy. He's like, okay, we'll work it out. I'm like, all right, you let me know when you can do it. He goes, well, when do you need them? I was like, next week. Nothing like a short notice. So he's like, all right, let me see what I can do. Well, he calls me up 2 days later. He goes, I got you lined up for 3 weeks.
Heck yeah.
I'm like, all right, cool. So they had guys that were volunteering from their airfield, coming out to different airfields, helping out and stuff, and making things happen and just kind of helping, right?
Yeah.
So he's like, hey, I'll get you these guys. So because his organization, the airfield he was working at, was giving them pay to come out and help and work. So these dudes volunteered. They didn't realize they were getting paid until after they volunteered. And then after they volunteered, he's like, oh, by the way, we're going to pay you while you're there.
Oh, they got checked. And they're like, oh,
yeah,
that's sweet.
Yeah. So,
But the intention was to help, at the end of the day. Yeah. That's really cool.
Yeah. I mean, they volunteered their time to be here. And then after they volunteered, he's like, yeah, by the way, you're getting paid.
That's pretty rad.
Yeah. And then there was one kid, he came through. His name was Lee.
Glasses?
I think so.
Younger?
Yeah.
I think I got his phone number. He was really cool.
Yeah. He was the one that ran the air stuff.
Yeah, I think so. Like, I think the first time I was here.
Yeah, so he had his whole routine down. Like, he'd get up in the morning. I think he'd get up like first light, and I'd see him. I'd come driving down the road to come back in, and he's out there first light rolling around. We had a little side by side with the whoopee light on top. Mm-hmm. He'd be out there driving around, doing his rounds around the edges and stuff, checking everything. And I was like, man, that's pretty cool.
Yeah. And
I was talking to him. I was like, what's the actual thing that you're supposed to be doing? He goes, well, if there was a lot of people, we'd be doing all this stuff. He goes, but since it's me, he goes, I do it. So I get up in the morning, I don't drink coffee or nothing. So I just get up and I go brush my teeth, get ready. And this is what I go do. And he's telling me he's going through everything and checking everything. He's checking the fuel point, the numbers on there, the fuel, how much we got. And then he comes inside and we have our morning meeting. And as soon as the morning meeting's over, he goes through and all I hear is clear of the door going up, and then he says it like 3 times. And he would go over to the door, open the safeties on it, release the lock, hit it, and it would start rolling up. And it was like that every day. And he was the first one to do it. And like, what in the world, And he came in before the other guys that were paid volunteers. He was like an early on volunteer, but it was just the coolest thing, And he had this whole routine, and we were talking to him. Well, he was here for like a week already. He was staying for like two or 3 weeks or whatever. He had took time off from work to come. And the Marine guy that was here helping out, his first week, he saw him and saw everything with him. Well, it impressed him so much. He told him, he goes, hey, if you ever decide, he goes, here's my number. Give me a call. I'll help you get a job where I'm at. And you let me know if you want to move. So Lee's like, well, I got to talk to my wife and all this stuff, I'm like, what do you mean you're married? He's like a young kid. He's got a face like he's 17 or something.
Yeah, I think that was the guy I met. Yeah, because I remember I was like, dude, you look so freaking young. Like, you're doing this? Yeah.
It's the hardest thing. Having a lot of people come out. Like I said, this right here, I think is my.
You want to add this in? Like, well, we could start here if you want to.
Yeah, that's fine.
Well, because we were talking about Lee.
Yeah.
And props to Lee.
Yeah. Oh man, props to Lee if you see this, brother. Miss you.
Yeah. Lee, I think we met. I miss you too. Anyways, if we didn't, still.
Yeah. For real.
Yeah, but dude, there's been some solid people. But you were saying, we're kind of off camera talking about some things that just kind of are disheartening.
Yeah. So I mean, you get all this great stuff. And where I was going with I still don't want to say his name, but my Marine buddy that flew the Marine One, he was real quick to teach me something, or like they say, learn you something.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
You're not going to please everybody. I always know. I've known that, but I've never put a number to it. or any kind of expectation to it or whatever. It's just like, I always blow it off and I never think about it. But doing this mission, it was more of, if I wasn't pleasing somebody, I felt like I was failing everybody. Right. And that was like an early on thing getting through it. And I know, you know how I feel because we've had those conversations. So what he said is 80-20. I'm like, what's 80-20? He goes, you can please 80%. You're never going to please 20%. And because you can't get all 100. I'm like, okay, well, everybody usually says like 60-40, 70-30, whatever. First time I ever heard 80-20. Well, I sat down one day and I was talking to Paula about it, you know, and we're like, hey, 80-20. And she's looking at me. I was like, we're going to please 80%. We're going to upset 20%. She goes, I can live with that. I was like, so can I.
Yeah.
I go, because if 20% want to keep coming back at me like there's a guy, if anybody's ever looked at our Facebook page, his name's probably popped up from time to time. And, you know, I got to go in there and report it and all that stuff because, unfortunately, the guy's gotten personal and argumentative with my 14-year-old daughter on Facebook. Well, how much of a man are you if you're arguing with a 14-year-old kid?
Yeah. How much?
And, you know, and then he goes and spreads rumors and tries to make it all look like him. And then, you know, he takes a screenshot of a message because I won't argue with him on Messenger. And exactly why was because he was going to go take a screenshot of it and put it on Facebook. There's no reason. I mean, if you want to have a conversation, I have invited him out here. I even told him, I was like, hey, if you want to come out here, I'll call the local sheriff and have him be here and be a third party to it. You know, it's no big deal to me. I mean, I don't know what the issue is anyways. I mean, he got upset. So he's like my main part of my 20%. And there's other people that have been upset because, you know, their emotions are flying. With everything going on, emotions are everywhere. You're not going to please everybody. But the 80% that have been pleased, it's, and the stories and everything else and just hearing their pain and how you can just be a little bit part of that joy to get back in their lives.
Yeah.
No matter what it is. I mean, you saw it the day you and I went on our first mission.
Yeah.
That was a great day.
It was great.
And so, you know, to do things like that and be able to help the people who are generally not ever helped. You know, because it's America, land of the free, home of the brave, all that good stuff. But you know what? We are one of the most judgmental countries out there.
100%.
You know?
Yeah.
And a lot of people don't care who they hurt, especially if they're doing it on Facebook or something like that. And so when this lady, and I'm sure you remember, literally asked us why we were helping her because nobody ever helped her and she'd been turned down from 3 other places. And all she was asking for was a generator, help put up her little yurt, and some food.
Yeah.
Okay. So why turn her down?
Pretty simple.
Yeah. I mean, I get it. She's a single lady. She's, you know, in her middle age or whatever. I don't know how old she was. I really don't want to guess. But, you know, I know she's younger than me and maybe a little bit older than you. But why not help her? You have the means. She didn't want a house generator. She wanted a little tiny generator to give her some power in her yurt that she had received from a friend.
Because of judgment.
That was it. Because when we first met her, the first thing you do is you're like, wow.
I mean, she's got a lot of energy.
She did. And she, you know, she was all over the place. And if I was a judgmental person, I would have been like, heck no. But there's a need.
Dude, you hit the nail on the head because I talked about this. You know, I think because we're aware of like maybe how she was acting. It was like, whoa, it was a lot to keep up with. You know, like I'm not going to ignore that fact.
Yeah.
But that's the thing. And that was the beauty in it. I told several people about that mission because of this is like, you know, when you're in those situations, you're helping people. And if you genuinely just care to help people, judgment goes out the window.
Yeah.
You know, like if it's insane. Like it doesn't matter who they are, what they look like, what they believe in, whatever. You're just like, y'all, you know, that is a human soul and they need taken care of.
Yeah.
And that's all that freaking matters.
Exactly.
Their personal life doesn't matter to me. You know, hopefully this helps improve it by showing them love. Right.
Yeah, exactly. And you know, I could go on for hours about that right there.
Yes.
And you know, cause I've been judged.
Feel ya.
I'm judged all the time. You know, it's a small town. I get it. Mountain folk, I get it. It's how they grow up. I'm sure, you know, my town where I grew up was early on when I was younger. They might have judged people when they come in, but it's blown up so much. You don't know who lives there anymore and who doesn't, you know, but up here, people still know who lives here. They know you if you're an outsider. And, so this lady getting helped and seeing that and just, I mean, man, she must have cried for like an hour while we were getting that tent thing up and all that stuff for her and setting up her stuff under the light of my headlights.
Yeah. Worked out.
Yeah, it helped. But you remember the happiest part of that story?
Is when we gave her the hug. Well, when she started crying, she said,
yeah.
she said, I don't deserve this or something like that.
She was like, I don't deserve this. And that was when she said, why are you helping me? And we kind of finished off with that, but then she's like, hey, you want to see something beautiful?
Oh yeah.
That is the craziest thing. And I remember
the woods.
Yes. And I went home and I told my wife and cried in her arms, of course. And, told her the whole story. Right. And then I was like, and then the craziest thing, she's like, you want to see something beautiful? And out of all this craziness, everything that had been just torn down around her, the trees all over the place and all that, 50 feet from behind her house was that beautiful waterfall. And that water, you know, I mean, her little safe haven, you know, that she would go just spend her time. You know, that's the stuff that right there. That's what makes it worthwhile.
It sticks with you.
Yeah. People like that. I don't know if I ever told you the little girl had 3 guys out taking a package out because early on, you know, a lot of people couldn't get out. And they were taking a package out to a family, and there was a young girl, I don't know how old she was. It started to sprinkle, and she started shaking and started crying because she was worried that it wasn't going to stop, like when the hurricane happened. And all the mom could do was give her a hug and hold her and tell her it was going to be okay. You know, and it just so happened we went out there. One of the guys was, you know, a believer, and he didn't pastor to them, but he went and gave her a hug, and he asked the mom if he could, you know, say a prayer for them and stuff. And so he kind of said a prayer and got her to kind of calm down and relax and just, you know, be okay. And he came back and he broke down back here telling that story. And, you know, it's little things like that again, you know, and I've got a lot of stories that, you know,
we could probably do like hours of that too.
Yeah. You know, so there's a lot of those too. And, you know, so being out here and part of this mission, and I wish we didn't have to leave the airfield. And again, we're going into another story, but, you know, I wish we didn't have to leave the airfield because it is the perfect place. But at the same time, everything's going to change. We're not closing down, of course. We're just moving locations. And with that, we're gonna adjust our play and how we're doing because there's a lot of big people in here, you know, rebuilding homes and doing all the big stuff, but nobody's doing the little stuff. Yeah. You know, so, you know, like we were talking about, is our goal is to get in there and patch, fix, scrape a road, fix a culvert, a small culvert, whatever, you know, clean some trees, chop up some trees, get it out of their yards so they're not reliving that ugliness every day. Yeah. Because most organizations that come in here, they're rebuilding the home, or they're, you know, redoing a whole roof, or rebuilding the whole driveway and the full culvert and gutter system and everything that deals with from when they come off the road to their house and all those big things. But there's not a lot of organizations that are coming in and just doing those small little, you know, the leaky chimney, the siding that fell off. Yeah. The trees that are still down need to get cut up, firewood and debris moved off. You know, there's not a lot of that. Most of that's like, hey, you can do that kind of your stuff yourself. But it is small communities up here, and there's a lot of elderly people that have lived there their whole lives, and they don't want to ask for help, so they're just dealing with it. And so what, you know, we're going to do now is we're going to go kind of help with that. Nice. So that's the big thing, you know.
I love it, man. You know, at the end of the day, like what you've done and where you're going with it, you know, first of all, it's the main thing is like minus helping people or whatever. It's about, you know, what I saw in that lady. Yeah. Saw hope. Yeah. You know, and I think just giving people hope is such a powerful thing. I mean, that can change the world, you know, if you give people, everybody enough hope of whatever thing. So I think giving people hope, man, because I mean, you can see where they probably feel like there is none. I mean, and rightfully so. So if you can just give them a little bit ounce of that, and because you built a yurt and gave her a generator and set her up a nice little spot. It wasn't a whole entire house, but you know, that's the best we could do. And I thought it was a powerful thing. And y'all are just going to keep evolving and doing more and more, and like doing the little things. Because you got the big jobs getting done, but you need the little things done. And then over time, step by step, day by day, it gets better overall. But it's going to take it's a long haul.
Exactly. And, you know, and that's the big thing. And one of the things we're going to get into and doing all that is kind of how we're going to organize it. Other organizations out here we're going to work with and kind of get them and their support, so we don't cross support things and get stuff done. But you know, you're right. I know a lot of people come through here and they're like, you know, like I said earlier, if you're not a believer coming through here, you're going to become a believer. Mm-hmm. Well, we've had people who have actually come and said that they lost faith in humanity, and then they show up here and you know, you can't make this stuff up when people just start breaking down in your arms and they're like, you know, thank you. And I'm like, well, I don't know what I did. You're up here helping us. Yeah. And they're like, and the next thing out of their mouth is, no, thank you. You just, you know, renewed my faith in humanity. Yeah. And I'm like, well, I'm helping the people in our community. You came all the way from wherever you live to help, you know, and I'm not one that wants to take the credit. Yeah. I know I'm here, but people are here to help the people. All I'm here doing is guiding them. Yeah. You know, and that's truly what this is all about. And, you know, going back to the whole we to people helping people for the people, whatever you want to say. Yeah. This is what it is. It started out with people. It's going to end with the people, and it's going to continue to be the people. And that's what our country needs to understand. You know, one of the best things I saw, and I don't want to get political here, but there was one thing that I did hear about the whole thing. It doesn't matter where you come from, who you are, what religion you are, what group you go for, whether you're Republican or Democrat, whatever, whether you just truly don't like the president for whatever he is. But the one thing they did say is we need to finally come back together as a country. And it's true, because, you know, we used to be that country that everybody wanted to go to. We were actually leading in so many things, and it just seems like a lifetime ago. You know, my grandparents used to tell me all these stories about the stuff they got to experience. When I was little, you know, you're seeing all these great things. Our military was, you know, it was the best thing in the world. You know, everybody wanted to join the military. Everybody believed in our country. Everybody believed in the growth and the progress and everything like that. Yeah. And it just seemed like, you know, all these people, I don't know what it was, you know, the whole touchy-feely thing or whatever, the you know, you can't spank your kid for doing the wrong thing. I mean, you can't beat your kid. That's great. I get it. Don't beat your kid. Yeah. I mean, I'm not saying that. Nobody wants to be beaten, but, you know, I had a dang troubled life too, but there's discipline for everything. Mm-hmm. It's the same thing in the military. A discipline for everything. You know, it's part of growing up, because you know what, in the end, these kids are going to get hurt. You know, they're going to be going and they're going to be playing sports, or they're going to be at school. They're going to be bullied. They're going to be ridiculed and everything like that, because some of these people, they're just not nice. Yeah. You know, but the stronger mentally, not physically, but mentally, you make your children, the better adults they're going to be, because they're going to know how to handle the problem, get the right result to fix it. Yeah. And then go through life. And you know what? There's going to be a hurricane somewhere or some sort of disaster, and they're going to be right there helping, just like we are now.
You can't protect, shield everybody from everything. No. And if you're doing so, you're doing them just disjustice. So trying to, like, on an overall theme, like trying to protect everybody from everything that even hurts their feelings is not any good for them, because they don't grow. You know, and trust me, I wish I could protect my daughter from any harm. I mean, it kills me that I know I can, but at the same time, what good would that do for her? Exactly. Because guess what? I'm going to be gone before her. I'm going to be gone, you know, in one of these days, and that could be tomorrow. That could be 40 years from now, I hope, right? But that's the whole reality.
Exactly, brother. Because you know what? I think if one, we all just learn to accept each other for who we are, and I get it. It's probably never going to happen, wishful thinking, however, but, you know, 80-20, right? You're going to not please 20%. So if 20% of the country just doesn't get it, fine. 20% of the country doesn't get it. But if the other rest of the groups, the 80%, just learns to be that better person, to be a better world. You know, I mean, the town I grew up in, I kid you not, there was Hispanics and whites only for the longest time. And then they did the whole gang adjustment thing, and people got the opportunity to move to other towns and all that stuff. So there was, you know, more and more Asians came in, and blacks and Hispanics and everything else. And that's kind of how it kind of all brought together and broadened the culture and our community. And, you know, and that's how it grew up, you know, and it just happened. And then you join the military, and what do you get told? There's no such thing as other things. It's everybody is wearing green. Everybody bleeds red. Everybody's this and everybody's that, you know? So
yeah.
It's like you grow up thinking one thing, and then you join the military and it's totally the other thing. Yeah. But I tell you what, a lot of countries, it's a requirement to be in the military for you know, a certain time frame. Mm-hmm. And I'm not saying everybody should join the military, but it'd probably be good for a lot of people if they did something for their country and became an adult in some way, shape, or form. You know, it would just probably help in all this.
Yeah, no, I agree. I mean, I think just to have that similar pride or thing that binds them, right?
Yeah.
I will say, you know, and like I've had people from on my podcast that are just like totally different walks, man.
Yeah.
Like, you know, and just so extremely different. And then I've had conversations, and it's like best friends talking, you know, and that's the thing. And I think it's just simple, you know, and obviously 80-20, not everybody, 20% of the people would never do this, but all you got to do is have a conversation with somebody.
Yeah.
Because I talk about this a lot, man. I never walked in your shoes. So how can I expect you to think like I do? Just like you to have never walked in mine. Yeah. So I have my values and what I stand for, and yours may differ completely, but at the end of the day, your thoughts, how you understand things is based off your experience, and I can't live that for you. And so we can understand that from one another, and then find things between us that connect us. And actually we got some things in common, and oh my gosh, and now we're cool. It's that simple, but a lot of people don't even want to try to do that. And it's such a simple thing. But yeah, so what we need is I'm trying to get 100% of the country to listen to my podcast, subscribe, right?
There we go.
And then if 20% of y'all just don't like it, that's fine. But, you know, get my stuff. No, but get what I'm saying. I think it's just, unfortunately, like it's so hard because people don't even want to try to do that. But man, it could be a beautiful thing.
Yeah. You know, and it's sad that natural disasters or things that affect the country directly is what brings us together. But if that's what brings us strength, that's what brings us strength. But the problem is once you have that strength, don't let it go.
Yeah.
Don't give it up. Keep it, you know, because that's what's going to make us better. And that's going to allow us to grow not only as a person, but as a country. You know, everybody doesn't have to believe in God or anything like that, or a God, or you can be multiple different religions, whatever. It doesn't matter. It's your belief. It's you. Yeah. It's who you are. It's what makes you different. It's what makes our country so great.
Heck yeah.
You know, and it's sticking together and being part of it. So, you know, this is why when you asked me to be on this show, I was like, heck yeah, let's do this, because, you know, we met because of a natural disaster.
Yeah.
But what we learned, like you said, is we have a lot in common. Yeah. We have more in common than we ever thought. You know, and I always joke around. I was like, everybody hears, you know, your call sign for us and down here. And then they look at you and they're like, what in the world? That's not, totally not what they expected.
Yeah.
But at the same time, you're the greatest guy that I've ever met. You know, you're kind and gentle and so down to earth.
Yeah, I appreciate that.
No problem,
brother.
Thank you
so much.
You know, and I have an issue with myself and how I meet people and how I'm not judgmental, but at the same time, I don't know how to be friends with everybody.
Of course.
You know, I can break the ice. I can have a conversation, but that's as far as it goes. You know, but I have a handful of friends that I can truly call friends, you know, and you are one of them. If I haven't told you already,
dude, hell yeah.
But you know, you are one of them. And that's why, you know, the Key Lime Festival, man, I'm all about that. I'm ready to go eat some. And I told Paula, I was like, hey, we're going, you know, the family, we're all going. We're going to go up there and they don't, well, actually they all do like key lime. Good.
Tim said he likes key lime, so I mean, we might have to get, you know, the whole caravan.
Yeah, they actually said they want to come up. So
I would love that. We're going to make it happen, man.
Yeah, and you know what? And that's why I was trying to say is like anybody who's watching the show, if you feel the need to sponsor or donate or anything like that, and I'm going to take this from you for a second. Go to the show. When he puts up his stuff for the Key Lime Festival and stuff, you're going to be helping a lot of great people. Sponsor whatever you want to do to help him out, help his show out, push this forward, because I'm not the only one he's talked to. If you've never watched any of these shows, you need to go back and watch a lot of his shows. Okay. I've only watched like brief here and there and stuff, but we've talked a lot, and there's a lot of people you help, both in the regular community and the veterans community and everything else like that, you know, being a vet yourself and everything else. But the whole thing is in order to be able to truly be a part of the country and help, is you got to be able to stick your neck out. $5 is $5. $1 is $1. It don't matter.
Mm-hmm.
You know, you can't ask one person to give up $1 million, but guess what? If 1 million people give $1, we all succeed, because we can keep growing and helping.
Yes.
You know, and the more we can grow and help and put money back in our country and help our country, the better we can grow as a nation.
Facts.
You know, so that's my little,
oh, dude, I love it. Thank you.
Soapbox, whatever.
Of course.
Brother, I tell you what, you know, if people could see what I see when they talk to you, they would help a lot more.
Dude. I mean, I don't even know what to say. I'm speechless.
Yeah.
Well, that means a lot, man.
Yeah.
I mean, truly.
You know, in my organization, we're going to push through regardless. I mean, I've got some friends who are here, you know, like you said earlier, we kind of alluded to, is I've got 3 people right on the ground who literally packed up everything they owned, threw it in their car, walked away from their lives, and they're here with us now.
Shout out to all you dudes.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And, you know, and, they're here every day volunteering their time. And the only thing I provide for them is me being there for them if they need me. You know, I mean, the local Baptist church, First Baptist Church, great group. They feed us breakfast every day, you know, and they don't even have to. They just start doing it. And all I could do is say thank you, you know. Second Harvest Food Bank, for a while there, they were bringing us food and helping us out that way. And they still help us out in other ways, but you know, they can only go so far for so long.
Yeah.
So it takes people. It does take money, but more importantly, it takes people in order to make missions work. You know, I mean, we can ask for donations all day, and we'll get some, but again, it goes back to 1 million people donating $1. I can help so many.
Facts.
I can help
$1,050,000. Come on, guys.
Right?
Everybody's got some leftover change.
Oh man. Go dig out what's in your couch, man.
Right.
Yeah. I remember those days. Oh man, I need a candy bar. I'm gonna go dig through the couch, you know? And now I get a candy bar and a soda, cause I just found $1.
Dude,
you know?
I'm set up.
Right.
I love it.
Yeah. So, you know, that's the big thing. And you know, I can get on the soapbox with all that again too. It is hurt. I'm going to put this, when you send me the link, I'm putting this on my personal Facebook page, because I want all my friends and family on my personal Facebook page to understand one thing. If you had ever asked me for anything and you needed me to get there and I wasn't there, then, you know, I failed them. I don't think that's the case. I'm pretty sure anybody that's ever asked me and truly told me they need me for something, I've been there for them.
Mm-hmm.
This mission that we're doing here isn't for me particularly, but it's for the people here who truly can't. I'm retired. I get a retirement check. When these people didn't get paid,
yeah,
I still did, you know, so I'm able to succeed.
Yeah.
It's just, they need the help.
They need a chance. Yeah.
You know, and these big organizations come in here. Everybody complains about FEMA. You can listen to FEMA all day. How much money got thrown at California all of a sudden? I wonder, you know.
Oh gosh.
But,
yeah.
you know,
and you know, still a disaster, right? But like,
yeah.
it just like this got completely ignored.
Yeah. You know, and their whole homes burnt down. And the first thing that the government said was, we're going to replace everybody's home. 4 months ago, we didn't hear that.
No.
And we still haven't heard that.
Yeah.
You know, and it's all in legislation on how, you know, this much money was asked to be given to Western North Carolina, and it got down. It didn't get cut in half. It didn't get cut in a quarter. It got to 1/10 of what it was.
Insane.
Of what it was asked for, you know. So again, this goes back to people helping people, we the people. That's the only way this place is going to work. It's the only way this can get set up.
Well, we got it, man.
You know, and the best thing to do is, you know, you go to the page. I know you said you're going to put our links on there and stuff. And if you want to read up, and check out what we're all about. It'll be on the webpage. Our whole mission statement and stuff. Of course, our pictures are all the airfield right now, but we're gonna start putting pictures up of the jobs we've done, the people we've helped, and everything else like that to kind of show where we've been and what we're doing and how we're going with things. And I know you got your links all over yours, and I hope that people will support that as well, because you have touched so many people. And you're going to continue to touch such people. Our conversations, brother, I see where your heart's at and I see where your soul's at, and I'm probably, I don't want to get all mushy for us, but, but at the same time, brother, you know what? I'm there for you. You've been there for me. You didn't know me. You don't know our community, but you were here for us. So I'm going to return that favor and be there for you the best I can. And I'm going to push that for you, brother. And we're going to do this because one thing we've both learned through all this, people making promises and not showing up.
People not following through.
Yeah. So, and that's the thing is, like I told the guys here, my volunteers, they've picked up everything to come here, and we've talked about things. And I don't remember where the conversation was, and it might've came off in a rude way at first, but I wasn't being rude. I was being real. Don't ask me to make a promise that I don't know if I can keep, just like I won't swear to you or promise to you that I'm going to do something that I know I won't keep. But a simple thing like pushing to help keep you going and keep what you're doing going. If I say I'm going to do that, I'm going to share it everywhere I can.
Yeah.
If people help, I pray that people help. But if you're going to come to somebody and tell them, hey, we're going to donate this or we're going to do that to help you out, to help these people out and do that, follow through.
Then crickets, yeah.
What's the thing? Don't ghost them,
Yeah. Unless you're drinking Ghost and y'all sponsor
me. That's right. Come on, Ghost. Give us a sponsor.
They talk about, Ghost, that's kind of their message, like the people that are behind the scenes that are unseen.
That's right.
That need to be seen. Guys, this is a perfect opportunity.
Yeah. Yeah. There you go. Come on.
Come on, Ghost.
Come on, Ghost. We got you. We got you.
I had to do it.
No, that's fine, brother. I tell you what, man, my older son, the one that's in the military right now, he's the one that got me hooked on these things.
Nothing like them.
Yeah. And I tell you what, I like these better than the other brand. We won't name them and call them out, but there's like that many, but, just saying. But for real, brother, it just bothers me. I don't need you to make me empty promises to make me like you.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? What I need is honesty, truthfulness, and just real, be real. That's what the nation needs, what the world needs. So why not just be real with something like this? This is a real world thing going on.
Yeah.
You're not getting people on a show just to get them to talk to you just for whatever reason. You're truly trying to help.
Yeah.
It just happens we're here in Western North Carolina doing this, but you've got other shows with other people who have been through so much in their own lives and things with them that, that they need help.
Yeah.
And there's organizations that do help and all that stuff, but a lot of them are kind of hard to get into, and people don't understand that. There's so much red tape with some stuff and all that things. Like even now for us here in Western North Carolina to get support, there's been so many people coming through here saying they're helping and just taking money and running that now the organizations that are able to help, they want so much information that it's hard to get done. Like if you apply for a grant and it makes sense. And if it was what kind of happened sooner, it may not have gotten so bad. But when you apply for a grant now, a lot of places are requiring that you have the actual address to the house that you're trying to fix. Well, there might have been an address there for a house that's no longer there. So you can't go take pictures of it. So you got to take pictures of, the mailbox if it's still there, or you got to key it off on like Google Maps and say, yeah, that's where the house used to be. And then you got to get a written letter from the owner of the home or some sort of agency in the county official, or, like for us, it'd be the VOAD. We have to get them to kind of help us out to prove, we're helping. We're a true organization, a real organization is trying to help. But, you got to put all that information now into a grant loan that you still may not get. So, it's kind of hard. So every grant you request for building houses, if you're going to help like 5 houses, you got to get all that information for all those 5.
Yeah.
So you got to go ask these 5 people, hey, I need you to relive what happened for me for 5 minutes. And just jot it down on this paper, just to get a grant to kind of help out. So, it's not like they're trying to not help people. It's just a lot of these organizations are worried about getting ripped off. So that's why we've tried to keep ours. We put it on there. Yeah, we're a full-blown nonprofit. We are tax exempt, and we are part of the VOAD. And the VOAD is the state's ran emergency response organization that, you have to prove that you're a real organization. So that helps us to kind of do all that. So, that's where our funding would come in to help. So we can go get out there. And like I said, we're not trying to get big things. We're probably never going to be able to rebuild a full-blown house. I would love to one day. That'd probably be so cool.
Let's make it happen.
Yeah, exactly. I will go get made a We the People stamp. So that way when we push the concrete, almost stamp the concrete. Boom. Yeah, with the big old one, because that would be the number one. And yeah, that would be cool.
Heck yeah.
So funding's great. Supplies are always great. But again, we're going into building. So, maybe we just get contract with some local business that runs building stuff, and items and all that.
Yeah.
And then, hey, if you don't trust me directly, put the money into them.
Yeah.
That way that's the stuff being bought, to go build the homes, and we'll just go take it off the account.
Well, that's the whole thing. And at the end of the day, like, I think that's, you pointed out the thing about the organizations and whatnot. And, it's nothing against any organizations. Cause I don't know every one of them. Right. And so when I've done, a couple charity things, if I don't know who's running it or whatever, it's not against you. It's just like, I don't put money towards that. That's why I try to go, like the last one I did was with this dude JT, and I had his story, and like, I think that's my mission moving forward. That's obviously a mission moving forward. Like, this is the second one next year, who can I go actually share an experience with and have that, I don't know, be a part of their life and hear their story and like help them hands on. So that way I can get people to know, like, this is who you're helping out. I know you're not in our direct community over there, but you're still a part of our community. Yeah. We're all connected, and like I don't know, my heart was called to support you guys, because at the end of the day, I've been here, I've been working with y'all, seen what y'all are doing. Yeah. Y'all are about it. I mean, this isn't, just something I was like, oh, that seems like a good idea. And so I'm making it real world and bringing y'all into our community to meet people and, interact a little bit more. So just got to make it real. And I think, like you said, be real.
Exactly. And, and you said one key thing right there that I didn't say is research. If you got Facebook and you pull up some organization that says, hey, we're taking money for A, B, and C, it's just as easy to go Google that organization's name, and you can actually follow up and look through all their stuff. And somewhere on their page, it'll tell you if they're a true nonprofit, or you can Google it and you can go actually to the website and see if they're tax exempt or nonprofit. You can go to the IRS website and pull up their name that way too. But people need to just take a second. Just because they look like a nice person, they're very helpful, they're telling these stories, it doesn't mean they're really supporting. There was a guy going around here taking pictures of other people doing stuff, putting it on his page and asking for money, and the guy got a lot of money.
That's so shitty.
Yeah, until they finally caught up to him. Now, it was all donations, so people probably won't get their money back, and he'll probably still keep it, but he is being charged. Now, what he's being charged with, the fraud, whatever, I don't know. But it's still the point. It does happen, but it's not that hard to go look up and see what they're doing, see who they are, see what if it's real. A guy went and took a picture of the big cylinder again, right? So at first it was trashed all right there and all this stuff. And then they came and cleaned it up, and it just so happened it rained after it was cleaned up. So it looked all muddy. Well, this guy went and took a picture of it and said, a brand new mudslide. We need your money. We need your help. We need your support. And I'm like, what are you saying, bud?
It's been
there since day one. Come on. There's nothing new about it. If anything, what you should have said is, hey, look, the effort's coming through, the money is coming in, it's paying for these resources. They were able to clean up everything. Next thing is getting rid of the cylinder, and this area will look almost like it did when it before the hurricane.
Yeah. Brand new mudslide.
Yeah, exactly. Brand new mudslide. Oh, and he took it at an angle, so you couldn't see the asphalt road on the other side of the cylinder. All you could see was the side of the mountain above the asphalt road.
Well, there's always going to be people trying to benefit off of others, loss. I mean, that's unfortunate. But.
Yeah, and you can't do certain things to them. Let the government do their thing and let God judge, because it's not my job to judge. It's God's job to judge. So, like I said, but this whole thing, man, I tell you what, I'm glad I got on this with you and we were able to talk because there's a lot of stuff. I mean, we've talked about 5 different things and maybe talked about 10, 15 minutes of each different thing here and there. And then we've gone off and talked about other things, you know?
Yeah.
And I tell you what, I could do this for hours, especially with you. I'm so comfortable talking with you and all that stuff. And
thanks, man.
you know, and I think that trip in my truck, I don't think we shut up for 5 minutes. I don't even think we had music on. We just kind of talked the whole way. It was like 45-minute one-way drive,
yeah.
You know? So, and that's the thing is, you know, like I was saying earlier, is all this money got pushed to Asheville, Swannanoa and all that stuff and Flat Rock, Bat Cave and all that stuff. All this money came there because there's a lot of wealthy people that live down in there.
Yeah.
But north of all that, we're just mountain folk up here. You know, I say we because I've been here for over 5 years. I consider myself part of the community, but you know, this is the place where the people need the help.
Yeah.
You know, even if you can't donate any funds and you got a construction company, come on out, spend a week, help out.
Yeah.
You know
what to do.
Yeah, exactly. All you got to do is show up at somebody's porch and say, hey, how can I help you?
Yeah.
You know, or
something needs to be done.
Exactly. I mean, the one thing is everybody always puts on Facebook, hey, where can I go? Man, don't ask, just show up.
Show up.
Show up.
Someone will point you in the right direction.
Exactly.
Yeah.
If you can't figure it out, go to WeThePeopleMission.com on Facebook or on the webpage and look us up. We got a plans number on there. There's a few other numbers on there. Get a hold of us. We'll help you find a place to go.
Hell yeah, man. Well, yeah, I want to keep talking. You know, we're maxing out these segments, and I'm glad for it, man. I mean, we could do so much more. Because I want to ask about, like, you know, your family and stuff too. And like, you know, your wife, she's been a big part of this too. And just like, you know, I could dive into the stuff like, how's it affected like the dynamic? Cause I know, like, at the end of the day, you talk about people butting heads and stuff, like it's also understanding, man, it's been a high stress environment for some time. It's not like it's just been a cakewalk for people. And so the stress is high all over. So that energy is felt throughout, you know? And so I just find interest in all those things. So maybe we just dive into even more come May after you know, y'all are in the next phase of the journey. And if you're down with that, man.
Yeah, for real. Cause you know, like I said early on real quick is like, my wife, I would tell her all the time when she was able to be here before she actually had to go back to work. She was here every day by my side, no matter how stressed out I would get. And I tell her every day that all I did was have to look over at her and it would help calm.
Change everything.
Exactly. It would just be like fresh start, you know, like, you know, a reset for, you know, lack of words is what it was. And then, you know, my kids being here and helping out where they could and just seeing how them getting their hands in there and doing stuff. You know, and it hasn't always been easy. You know, you're absolutely right. It is a high stress thing, and not always a high stress thing, but you know, when you're so busy, you're not eating, you're not drinking. There's pictures of us on our Facebook page. Me and my wife will sitting there with IVs in our arms because we didn't drink or anything or whatever. So we're getting an IV from the local doc that was here helping us out. You know, and it's a lot of stuff like that. You know, there's a lot of stories like that. I'm sure I'm not the only one out of these communities that's been going through all that stuff. But yeah. You know, she has been a rock. My kids have been there. You know, they've been straight dealing with it all. So it's been awesome. I'm pretty sure it's going to make us stronger when we get through all this. I know it's going to make us stronger when we get all through this. But
without a doubt,
yeah. So it sucks that it takes a disaster to make you stronger, but at the same time, that's where you know your limitations. You know just how strong you are as a family.
Oh, resilience, you know?
Exactly.
Exactly. Strength through struggle, you know, like resilience is something I've been keying in on that a lot lately. Yeah. But resilience, I mean, and we talk about like just having experience, not making things just protective for everybody in the world, because you need to have resilience. Like the struggle is, I heard it on this podcast the other day, and like I heard a clip. And you could probably relate to this, and it hit me, and you know, and I would say like the gods, right? But like the guy's like, if you're not struggling, then I don't know what's going on. He's like, if you're struggling, then God's working in your life. Yeah, exactly. And I was like, you know, and I was like, oh, yeah, I think the gods are working in my life, but I believe that. I'm like, yeah, and I can feel this power. I'm like, I know y'all are working with me, and you know, just paving my path. Like this is necessary. Yeah, exactly. You know, and so I feel like you probably feel the same way with your family and everything you're doing. Like it's I mean, we've talked about it. It's a struggle, but you know, you're doing something purposeful.
Yeah.
And that's not meant to be easy.
Exactly. I mean, what is it? And when you're growing up in the military, when I got told was pain is weakness leaving your body. So, you know, it goes back to the struggle.
Yeah.
It's all about the struggle.
Embrace it.
Exactly. You embrace it, you grow from it, you learn from it, and you push and become stronger and better.
Amen, dude.
All right.
I love it. Well, I want to ask real quick, because I ask everybody this question. What is your relentless pursuit?
Ooh, that's a good one. I should have been ready for it.
No one's ever ready for it.
I know. That's the thing. You know, honestly, this mission is a great goal in life, but it's not just mission that's going to change. You know, my goal is truly what makes me so relentless in everything that I'm going to do. And my pursuit is trying to leave something for my kids to look up to in life and have a goal to push, to exceed, to improve, and to be better.
Yeah.
Because every generation is got to be a better generation.
Mm-hmm.
And I feel like for a while there, everything was going backwards. And I don't want that. I want my kids to be better than I ever was. And then their kids be better than they ever were.
You're the example.
Exactly. And my son right now, you know, like I was telling you earlier, he's in the military right now. He is a great soul to look onto and his whole thing. And then my other two right now that are, they're getting to where they're at. They are so much smarter than I have ever been or I ever could be. And they are setting examples that, as long as they keep going in the path they're going, then my relentless pursuit is complete.
You're set.
That's right.
I love it, man.
Right.
Well, I have no doubts that they will. Bro, I am so grateful. It's been a killer day today. You know, I'm glad I made the trip. I hate that I have to turn right around, but I got to go tackle my mission. And, but you know, we're going to be proactive into getting y'all's story out there. Obviously I don't need to announce when it's coming out, because if y'all are seeing this, it's out already, but, we're going to be proactive as hell about doing everything we can to make this event very special. The Key Lime Pie event. If you're watching this, May 10th at 10 a.m., the second annual Relentless Pursuit Key Lime Pie Festival for charity, going towards We the People mission. Awesome. Because my heart's with y'all and I want to support y'all, and I know people around want to support you guys. So we need to get our community together to do the most we can and to just keep that rolling, because it matters. Y'all matter. The mountains matter. Everybody freaking matters. That's right. And that's the point. So we're going to do everything we can to make it rock and roll. And I'm proud of you, man.
Proud of you, brother, and I appreciate you having me today.
Hey, it's been an honor.
You too, man.
Grateful for you.
Thanks, brother.
Yes, sir.
Appreciate it.
All right. Yes, sir. Of course. Y'all take care. You're the man. What'd you think?
That was awesome.